everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Shabbat Show. So great to be with you again. Wow. The time is flying by. So much happens in 1 week. Last week we had Lag BaOmer. And we had a show. As we were doing the show, little did we know that what was taking place around the world would be something that would change our lives forever. So much going on. We're coming out of Lag BaOmer. We're coming out of maybe one of the greatest tragedies we've experienced in the modern era. We're entering into a world of Shavuos. We're charting the course forward. We held on to each other this past week. We rebuilt and we're rebuilding. It's been an incredible week. And it's great to be with you again. We've got an incredible show for you this week. Another shout out to our incredible Project Inspire team for always producing. This show is once again sponsored as a program of the Carl Enoch Goldman Center for Jewish Values. We thank Jay Goldman for his consistent friendship and sponsorship dedicated by Jay Goldman. We thank him for that. We've got a show today that is really very much aligned with where we're heading towards the future. We're heading towards the holiday that made us who we are, the holiday of Shavuot. It's a holiday where we accepted the Torah and became the nation. It's a holiday where we chose, if you will, to be Jews. We're a nation, if you will, of converts. Abraham converted in. The Jews, so to speak, had a choice. And what that choice was is a whole story in itself, but they became something. Jews by choice. And so this period of time is time where we renew ourselves, remind ourselves how lucky we are to be part of this nation. And today's show is going to be talking about converts, Jews of choice, because A, they're heroes, and we like talking about heroes. And B, we're so honored to have them part of our nation. And C, it reminds us that for those that were born into this, how special it is that we have what we have. We look forward to the show. Before we begin, I want to take a minute to reflect on the events of last Thursday night. You know, many times when we go through tragedy, it reminds us that we are connected. It is a time of reflection. And it's a time where heroes emerge that set the way. What we experienced this past week, in the ashes, in the tragedy, voices emerged to remind us of what's important, to give us strength to keep on going. And we want to play for you just a few quick videos. Check out this verse video that we have in the aftermath of the tragedy.
אז כן, אנחנו נמצאים כאן בהלוויה של הבן שלי. כמו שידוע, היה נהדר מיום חמישי בלילה. שהתברר שהוא פשוט...
I hope that we're able to get that video back on. But until we do, I want to just explain to you what's going on right now. This is the father who is also a teacher who brought his sons and one of his students to Meron. And unfortunately, his son and one of his students ended up dying. I hope that we can get that video going. I'm not sure if it's frozen. Let's see if we get this again.
אז כן, אנחנו נמצאים כאן בהלוויה של הבן שלי. כמו שידוע, היה נהדר מיום חמישי בלילה. שהתברר שהוא פשוט נהרג די במקום. הוא לא פונה אפילו לבית חולים. זה הבן ששכב לידי על הרצפה. כשהיינו ברמפה למטה, כשכל המסה של האנשים עלינו. זה הילד שצעק שמע ישראל ווידוי, אבא אני מת. אז הנה, ברוך השם הוא כאן, עם נקע ברגל, אבל הכל בסדר. ידידיה, לצערי הרב, לא שרד. ידידיה היה ילד צדיק, הוא היה ילד קדוש. ואם הוא היה רוצה שאני אגיד משהו, זה דבר אחד. אנחנו, כולנו יש לנו מכנה אחד משותף, אנחנו יהודים. כרגע אנחנו לא מחפשים שום אשמים ולא שום דבר, אנחנו אנשים מאמינים ויודעים שמה שהקדוש ברוך הוא עושה, הוא יודע מה הוא עושה. זה כואב מאוד. אבל דבר אחד אנחנו יודעים, הוא מנהיג את העולם. אם ידידי היה פה עכשיו במקומי, הוא היה אומר דבר אחד, רבותיי, בואו נתאחד. זה הזמן, זה המקום. אנחנו גדולים מאוד באסונות, אז כולם, אף אחד לא בודק איזה כיפה יש לשני, ואם יש לו כיפה או אין לו כיפה, ואיזה ציציות יש לו, אם יש לו או אין לו. אף יהודי לא שונא את השני, אף אחד לא יכול לדבר נגד השני. אנחנו צריכים להיות ביחד. זה המסר שיש לי, ואם ידידיה היה מדבר, זה מה שהוא היה אומר. אני מאחל לכולם שאף אחד לא ידע עוד צער, ובעזרת השם כולנו נהיה חזקים ונעבור את המשבר הזה.
I want to just stop for a second so that we can appreciate what we just saw. This is a father who just lost his son, his 13-year-old son. Understand what we're watching. We're watching a man in the middle of his greatest fear and pain. And if you noticed his words, there wasn't one bit of, I can't believe, why didn't? He said, we're all Jews. We love each other. Let's get through this together. We believe that God runs this world. This is the people that me and you are a part of. These are the people. This is what it's like to be part of this family. That in the middle of this tragedy, this righteous individual is turning around and saying, let's just be together. Let's stop fighting. We're one people. Let's continue on to see what the rest of this man's week look like.
הכל בסדר.
כן, תבוא.
הגיע עוד שוטר יחד איתי, משכנו את שמואל החוצה וישירות הבנו אותו למקום בטוח למד"א שיקבל טיפול. הגעתי לאביגדור, חזרתי לאביגדור ומשכתי אותו שוב עם השוטר שהיה גם יחד איתי והרחקנו אותו מהמקום למד"א לקבל טיפול רפואי שם.
אני אם הייתי נשאר עוד כמה שניות, אני גם הייתי מצטרף לידידיה ולמוישי. שמואל ודאי, אני נשאר שם עוד דקה, פחות, כל הנמצא איתנו. באתי להגיד תודה ענקית, תודה לרמי.
אני אוהב אותך.
אני גם.
ואני חייב לך את החיים שלי. ואין לי מילים להודות לך.
The officer that saved their lives comes back and they rekindle and they reconnect at the Shiva. And the officer says, I love you. And they go, I love you. Hope we're painting this picture over here. And now there's one more thing that this wonderful person does this week. And just to give you a sense, if you remember, I said that he was a teacher. Now, here's maybe some of the hardest things is not only did he have his kids with him that night, he had his students with him that night. That was the gift that he gave his prize student for being great in his classroom. And unfortunately, that student passed away. And now Avigdor has to go and or chooses to go on his own Shiva week to pay a Shiva call to the father of that boy, of his student who he took to Lag BaOmer. Check this out.
אני אהבתי אותו, כאילו בן שלי.
שהשם שלך לא פה בבית, דרך להגיד, חיים כל יום. הרב סיפר גם.
Just an instant what just happened. His father showed him something. And the teacher, Victor, who just lost his own son, says he was like a son to me. And here you have two fathers that are comforting each other, each one more sorry for the next. You know, in tragedy, you start to realize how special our nation is, how much we love each other, how much we care for each other, how much we die for each other. And many of us experienced that this week. We experienced this incredible pain for people that we never met, people that we never knew, sadness. Our very own Yossi Friedman, who is one of our producers and one of the leaders here in Project Inspire, went to these shivas. He doesn't know them. He just sat for hours and cried. Many did that. It's because we're a family and we're a nation and we're there for each other. We're there for each other in down times and in up times. And so on behalf of all of us here, I just want to express our sorrow for what took place. But I want to try, if possible, to find some silver lining that we can use in which we can build on this show. And the lining is that we got something special. We got something special. We're part of a special people, not to the exclusion of other peoples, but we're part of a special people. And we have to appreciate that, no matter where you are, no matter who you are. And if you remembered what this Rebbe Victor said, it doesn't matter what you have on your head or what you have on your clothes or what your denomination is or what your background is or what your country is. We're all part of the same, we're cut from the same cloth. We're all one nation. And that began on Shavuos. We were together in Egypt, but we cemented our bond that held us together for the generations during our experience in Mount Sinai. That's the holiday coming up. That's the period of time that we're in when you sandwiched Passover, which is a nation emerging from slavery, in between Shavuot, which is a nation cementing with purpose. You have the period of time that we're in right now. That's why it's so cataclysmic that the students of Rabbi Akiva weren't nice to each other. It's because we have something. We have to appreciate something. And knowing what we have and that we chose it is part of it. And tonight we're going to celebrate people that not only were born into it, that learn it from ups and downs, from moments of peaks or, God forbid, moments of challenges. We have people that saw it from the outside, that looked at it from the glass that they were standing in and said, I want to be part of it. And to do that is incredibly hard. And as we build our way up to the moment we all, in a way, converted, we're celebrating converts today and talking about them and highlighting them because they're the heroes that remind us in the joy, they remind us how lucky we are. By just being able to converse with Jews of choice, with converts, with Gerim, they remind us of what's special, and we are reminded about just how incredible there are people in this world that both find truth and will do anything to get to it. And so we've got an incredible cast coming your way. Before we go, check out this video about maybe the most famous convert of recent time, the one and only Amari Stoudemire from the NBA. Check this out.
So Judaism is a connection with me that I've had since I was a little boy. My mother always instilled this in us about the laws of Moses. And so for me to go through the conversion process now at an older age is very beautiful. I would teach these because it's the halakha, it's the law,
That was Mari Stoudemire and his recent conversion to Judaism. Our first guest is Gavriel Sanders. He's invested in 20 years as a minister of the Christian message, including 4 years in Israel as a missionary. His studies of Hebrew, which today is his second language, provided a new set of glasses to reassess the claims of who's the Messiah. He lives in Far Rockaway now for the last 21 years. He worked with Art Scroll Masorah Publications for 10 years in PR and marketing. He's been a Hebrew language instructor in a Long Island private high school for the past 5.5 years. He's also coordinating languages, teaching strategies with the Hebrew department at HALB. He's been active in Jewish media, producing several hundred radio programs, and more recently, the How and Wow of Hebrew. Is an honor to welcome Gavriel Sanders to the show. Welcome to the show.
Shalom Aleichem to everyone. Charlie, what a pleasure to be with you. What a moving, just up to this point, I'm just sitting here stunned with a lot of emotion as you presented both the tragedy and the triumph of this last week.
Yeah.
Wow.
And thank you. And thank you for being who you are, first of all, and thank you for being with us on the show, especially tonight. Give us, if you can, a little bit about your background, where you're from, and sort of what brought you, I guess, to Judaism.
So it's a short question, has a long answer. Anybody interested in the more amplified version, if you go to YouTube and you put in these two names, Feiner, which is Rabbi Eitan Feiner, my Rav, Feiner and Sanders, we did about an hour and 15-minute discussion with slides last December for the OU. So what I'm going to say is very short. But I started out this life in Georgia, and on to Florida, Texas, Oregon, California, back to and other parts of the world. I've lived in the Seychelles Islands. I've lived in Costa Rica. I've lived and worked out of Singapore. I was in Saudi Arabia for 2.5 years during the first Gulf War, working for the Saudi Navy. So I've had a lot of international influence in my life. Much of that was looking at the world through the lenses of the Christian gospel. I grew up as a street kid, child of a divorced family, different school every year. All of that, creates a certain hole in the soul. I was looking for something to fill that. The package that was presented to me through Christianity when I heard about something called the 4 spiritual laws had a lot of appeal to me, because I thought, okay, so God isn't Godzilla. That was my concept, that God was very angry and fire breathing. And what was presented to me was a heavenly Father that loved me and understood my feelings, because he'd injected himself into this world through the incarnation of his son 2,000 years ago. And not only that, he was supposed to come back, but I had a role to play with that and sharing the gospel around the world, and specifically reaching out to Jewish people, which is why I went and lived in Israel for a while. That living in Israel and learning Hebrew, which is my second language today, gave me a new set of glasses by which to perceive the scriptures that I thought were fulfilled in JC. There's some 300 different prophecies. That's a big number. But as I began looking at them one by one through the corrective lenses of the Hebrew language, I saw very clearly that, as they say in Hebrew, ze lo ze, this isn't it. So I had to rethink some things. I was in the church world very actively until about 1986. I left. I went into about an 8-year free fall, picking up where I left off with a lot of things that weren't the best way to live, but it was my default system. Where else could I go? But in the back of my mind was always this lingering sense of a bunch of questions. Since I lived in Israel, I spoke Hebrew, I knew Israeli culture well, the foods, everything, had a lot of Israeli friends. And somebody said to me, well, do you know anything about Judaism? And I had to admit, other than the few academic things that I'd studied, I didn't. And a couple of things that were a catalyst for me, one was personal and the other was kind of academic. The personal was some friends of mine, in fact, my first Hebrew teacher in the US, who Nebuch recently passed away from this life, but she had a major turnaround by going to like a discovery seminar, what we call in Hebrew arachim, values. It just made such a difference in her family. And I saw it. I went to spend Shabbat there, and I saw an experience of Shabbat that I'd never seen. Now, by this time, I had, out of curiosity, migrated into the Reform world. That's the chapter of my life called I call it If Judaism's a House, I'm kind of living on the porch. It was a good transition. It was light for me. It didn't demand a whole lot, but I quickly assessed that for me, there was a lot lacking there in terms of substance. It was like having a credit card that only worked at Macy's. I couldn't get an airline ticket, a meal, or a gas tank filled with that credit card. And I wanted to really have, I wanted to be part of the Jewish people in the full sense. So somebody said to me, you need to go the harder step. And I did. That's its own story, and you can look it up. There's a lot on the internet about me. Some good and some not so good. So look for the good. Charlie?
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I continue on. I thought that
No, just one thing. I want to just the academic part. Someone gave me a book by Rabbi Mordechai Ryan from down in Lakewood, I think, called The Magic of Shabbos.
Sure.
I read that book, and it just blew open to me the vistas that were unseen. Yeah. And it filled in so many of the blanks that I wasn't aware of. And reading that book, I said, I have to do this. I have to go for this. I have to find out. And I did discover, it took a long time. My second conversion, if you will, first being Reform, it took almost 2 years. It was a long haul, but I was grateful. And I worked with some of those tremendous people I'm still in touch with today to walk into the waters of Shabbos, if you will. And I didn't drown. It's like the Dead Sea. It's held me up. It's an amazing life. And somebody said, you kind of took Judaism for a test drive. Yeah. But after 22 years, I'm still driving the car, and it's in great shape. So
let me ask you this, because, like I said, I think those should really, again, Google Feiner and Sanders, because it pays for everyone to watch this incredible story, and now we're only going to get a snippet of it. We're not going to do it justice, but maybe share with us one more thing, which is, as you said, it's not an easy ride. And I think there are people like us that are born Jewish that feel like, I can't do more. It's not an easy ride. And I can only imagine from your sense just how hard that ride was, both the shattering of previous beliefs, then the having to relearn or to unlearn the maladaptive behaviors you had before those beliefs, and then to now navigate a whole new world. Was there an idea, a belief that you hung on to that was really driving you through the process, through the challenges, so that it gave you the strength to keep on rolling?
First of all, that was one of the best summaries I've heard. And I'm going to go back to the recording and transcribe those, because those are really excellent, inspired words. You summed it up very well. I can draw from all kinds of things. I guess, first of all, I have to say that, especially after the tragedies of this week where we feel such pain and loss. But the ultimate truth is, life isn't life as we know it, and death is not death as we know it. We are all eternal beings, and we've been sent into this world to perform. We're on assignment. We're on temporary assignment in this thing called from the cradle to the grave. And we have what to do, no matter what the time frame is, whether it's 9 years in the case of some child in Meron, or if it's 109 years for somebody. We all have what to do. And the initial part of what to do is to find out what we're here to do. Right. So I discovered that the Torah is kind of a blueprint, a roadmap, if you will, to the treasure of realization. And the treasure is inside of each one of us. Wow. It's not out there with this guru on that mountaintop in this meditative center. It's inside of us. And the Torah gives us spiritual techniques, technology, really, to access that and to then be empowered by that. Shabbos is part of that. It's called the source of blessing in one of the songs that we sing on Friday night. I truly found it to be that. I have 22 years of experience in it. And frankly, I'll say to anybody watching, I'm not one to be sold a bill of goods. I've walked away from things before. I was a street kid. So it has to take something powerful and compelling, to get my attention and to sustain the commitment that goes along with that. Beautiful. So I guess, for anybody that's kind of in process, which the truth is every one of us is, we're not where we were, and we're not yet where we're going. Every one of us is under construction. So put on your hard hat. And that's really the Torah gives you the protective equipment to go through and navigate this life. But it's tremendous to discover the higher powered living that comes from being part of this community. Shabbat for me is time out to tune up, to close out, to turn off equipment, demands everything, to spend time with my family, my wonderful Jewish family, to read great books, to spend time with my wonderful friends at shul, to pray together, to focus together, to learn together. This is it's otherworldly living, really, and it's a foretaste, really. It's an appetizer for the world to come.
Rabbi Gavriel, what can I say? You're an inspiration. I'm inspired. I'm sure everyone else is inspired. I really implore everyone to go check this video out and find out more, because it's really only going to inspire you. Thank you so much for what you do, who you are, and shining this big, bright light on the world.
My honor, my pleasure to be here. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Stay tuned.
Thank you so much. That was Gavriel Sanders. What an incredible individual. I'm not sure what happened, but I'm back. So that's great. What an incredible individual, very inspiring. I think we're going to go straight to Kahoot right now. We had a video planned, but I think we're going to play that video later on. We're going to go straight to Kahoot. I'm getting excited because I'm seeing all these Shabbat Shaloms popping up, and it's time to play games, and it's almost 8:30. So it is time to go to Kahoot. If you're out there, remember Kahoot.it. Check it out. You have it on your app. So everyone, please take a second to go to Kahoot and type in 651-3088, 651-3088. We're going to be playing while we get people signing up. I want to wish a Shabbat Shalom to the Begun Bolton family. Shabbat Shalom to you guys. And a Shabbat Shalom to the Novak family from Toronto. Good to see you again. Jerry and Eileen Hirsch in Milwaukee. Shabbat Shalom to you guys. To the Kersner family, Rochelle and Michael Kersner in Toronto, Shabbat Shalom. We got a special happy birthday shout out to Sarah Zeldman Novak. It's her birthday today. So happy birthday, and thanks so much for being a part of this. To Henya from Toronto, Shabbat Shalom. Rivka Tyler, Shabbat Shalom to you. Shabbat Shalom. Let's get almost going. 1 more minute, well, 10 more seconds, and we're going to get the Kahoot thing going. Shabbat Shalom to the Silver family in Highland Park, New Jersey. Shabbat Shalom to RM. Shabbat Shalom to Sharon from Virginia. Shabbat Shalom to Mitzi Cohen. Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Okay, let's get rolling over here. Let's get the games beginning. Kahoot, we're back. Excited for it. Let's get rolling. First question. Here we go. What special mitzvah is there in the Torah regarding converts? To love the convert, to honor the convert, not to harm the convert, or to help the convert? What special mitzvah in the Torah do we have regarding our lovely, wonderful hidden heroes that are converts? Love, honor, not harm, or help. Shabbat Shalom to Naama Siegel Karas, coming to us from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Shabbat Shalom to you. Here's the first answer. The answer is to love. We got some good response there. Of course we love them. They're awesome. Shabbat Shalom. RM jumps on top. Rachel, Saraz, Novak, Toronto, and the Silvers. We should get some familiar people on the board over here. Excited to have them playing Kahoot again. Here we go. Which of these famous personalities' grandchildren converted? Richard Nixon, Haman, Napoleon, or Genghis Khan? Which famous person had grandkids that converted? Richard Nixon, Haman, Napoleon, or Genghis Khan? Mark and Michelle Mandelman from Montvale. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to Linda from Boston. Shabbat Shalom to Stuart Federer from Houston. Thanks so much for being part of it. 7 seconds left. Shabbat Shalom to Lisa Weber from Pomona. Shabbat Shalom to you. And the answer is Haman. Haman. Believe it or not, can you believe that? Haman's kids. Actually, can you, how awesome is God's sense of humor? The man trying to wipe out the Jews had grandkids who were Jews. you imagine if he was alive, like, and going to, like, the little sitter play? RM, Rachel S, M fam, Novak family, Rachel G. Awesome. Let's keep on rolling. Question 3. On the day of a male's conversion, he receives a prayer book, a tallis, a gefilte fish, or a circumcision. When a man converts, what does he get? Prayer book, tallis, gefilte fish, or a circumcision. The Yaakov family, Shabbat Shalom from New York. Shabbat Shalom to you. And Gavriel Sanders, thank you again for an incredible interview. I appreciate who you are. Aviva Himmelstein from Toronto. Shabbat Shalom to you. Also, remember, you can always come onto my Facebook page. We'd love to see you there. 2 seconds left for the third question. Answer is circumcision, just to give you an even more of a reason to love converts. Rachel S. M. Fam, Novak, Toronto, Rachel G. And winner is climbing up the board. Last question. This is where it all happens. Last question for Kahoot. What happens when an adult converts to Judaism? They grow a big nose. A bottle of Manischewitz is sent to their home. They're now obligated in the commandments of the Torah. They can field all accounting questions in the synagogue lobby. This is a gimme for those who don't have stereotypes in their heads. Debbie Laufer, Shabbat Shalom to you. Michael Weingart, my good friend from Germany, Shabbat Shalom to you. Ken Winkler, my brother, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Desi Blocker, Shabbat Shalom to all of you. And continue, please. Anybody, please jump into these Shabbat Shaloms. The answer is yeah. You do commandments. I want to know who said, I just want to know if we can get the data on who voted for the Manischewitz bottle and who voted for the accounting questions. We love you all the same. Let's see what happens. Let's see who wins. Here goes. Third place, Mervis family. Congratulations. Second place, M family. I wonder if it's also the Mervis family. And number 1, the answer is the winner for tonight's Kahoot is Rachel S. climbs the leaderboard. Congratulations, winner. And the Novak Toronto is as well reaches the board. Thanks so much for being a part of it. Check out this incredible video coming at you from h.com. Check this out.
Okay, welcome to the Shabbat table.
Welcome to the Shabbat table.
My family is currently converting to Judaism. Halachic Judaism.
We want
to become Jewish. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon.
I was born in Kenya and I grew up in a small town known as Elbagon. We started our conversion last year, and so it's 1 whole year, and so we are halfway now. Part of the conversion is they must eat kosher, and they must have a kosher kitchen. It wasn't easy, like for the kids to remember which dish is for the meat, which one is for the milk. So the kids came up with the labeling, and so it has been very amazing for them putting the stickers so that we could remind each other.
We don't find it so difficult now, we're really used to it.
It's really easy because we've had them for a long time.
I was born in the former Republic of Sudan, so I grew up among the Dinka people of the Sudan. I never heard of the Jewish people before. The war I know very well. I got very graphic pictures of what happened. So these are lost boys, all of these ones here. So I'm here. The lost boys of Sudan, what happened was after the war broke out, the Sudan Liberation Army asked the parents to give up their sons to be taught in bush school. But that was not the truth because they wanted to go and train us up as soldiers. I did escape to the Republic of Kenya. I was still in Christianity. Then I came across this group of people that were Kenyans, but they were introduced to Judaism from the 1940s by a Jew from Jerusalem. This guy, because I was already shattered, I'm hunting for the truth, and he saw in my eyes that I really wanted to know God. From that point onward, that was the beginning of everything. So basically my kids go to a Jewish school, so I'm just going to pick them up, and on the way, I'm going to buy something nice for them for the Shabbat.
we are converting and we are learning more about the Jewish law. So it's very exciting for us, but to our family and to our friends, they find it very strange. They always say, so how do you fit in? To the people who are outside, it's a strange thing to see a colored person joining, people who are Caucasian.
Physically, I look like where I was born, but inside of me, I'm totally a very different person. So if I go among Jews, I am actually fit in because that's where I belong. But if I go among my people where I was born, I don't fit in because my soul is different.
Maybe we start with you first?
Me.
So before we eat, what do we need to do? Yeah, we need to say a bracha. Amen.
So I met a lot of new friends this year and last year since we came to the community. And the community is very welcoming and very friendly.
It's all a transition. I'm not the only one making the change. Through the human beings that come in contact with me, and plus, seeking for the truth, the transition is happening.
Everyone is looking forward to finishing the conversion, and there is a party at the synagogue, and everyone welcome us, and we become part of the community fully.
Shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Amazing. See how people are struggling and striving. What I love most about this video, besides just these incredible individuals who alone are striving for being part of our people, what I love about it is just how little we can judge others by how they look. We don't know who they are. And the way he said it was so perfect. He said, on the outside, I may look like one thing, but on the inside, I'm totally different. Such tremendous words. You see somebody on the street, you don't know who they are. You don't know their soul, their journey. Tremendous to be able to see people and really striving like this. Our next guest is Shannon Newson. She's a former evangelical missionary, now Orthodox Jew living in Israel. She's been involved in the counter-missionary world for the past 15 years with a focus on bringing awareness to the missionary agenda to Jewish leadership and monitoring missionary groups in Israel. What an incredible story she has. She's in Israel. I had a chance to catch up with her early this week. Check out this interview with Shannon. Give us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and a little bit about your journey.
About my background. I'm from Houston, Texas, a Texas girl. My background is I was born as an evangelical Christian, into an evangelical Christian family. My father was a minister. I was, as youth, trained to evangelize and to convert people, the world, to Christianity, which is a big focus in evangelical Christianity. As an adult, that took a turn towards, there was a focus on converting Jews because Jews are sort of prioritized against the rest of the world.
Why is that? Why are Jews prioritized for?
That gets into the Christian theology, which is the Great Commission is to go forth and bring the gospel to the entire world, but the Jews play a specific role in Christian theology about end times. It is so they prioritize because while it's great to bring the whole world to Jesus, Jews specifically coming to Jesus triggers the second coming. I was a pretty decent missionary when the focus was the whole world, but I found trouble when that focus started to be geared towards Jews, because to evangelize a Jew, you really have to get into the text and know the text, because Jews sometimes know what they're talking about.
Okay. So what happens? You get into, I'm loving this story. So you get into the text, and what happens?
I get into the text. I have to start memorizing all of the prophecies and things in Tanakh that Christians believe refer to Jesus. And I need to find ways to get Jews to read those verses in Tanakh and see Jesus the same way I see Jesus in those verses, but I ran into big problems when I was speaking to Orthodox, which I happen to like being in the Orthodox world, but I wasn't having such an easy time getting them to look at the text the same way, and I wasn't successful in converting any Orthodox Jews. They would give me a really hard time. They would taunt me a little bit. They would tell me things like I was taking the verses out of context, that they're mistranslated, and that they were totally made up, which I thought was absurd. They're just regurgitating what their rabbi told them. So it was clear that I needed to learn more if I was going to reach more affiliated Jews that knew what they were talking about. So I looked up, how does an Orthodox Jew answer Christianity? So I found the Jewish response to Christian missionaries online, and I decided I'm going to study those. And even if I don't have the text just right, or can't get the text to work just right, I'll learn how to debate them, and I'll bring them in that way. So I was learning all of the arguments on how Jews answer Christian missionaries, but in the process started looking at it myself, and everything I believed sort of crumbled because the rabbis that were providing me those responses were right, and my whole world fell apart, and everything I believed in just crumbled, rug out from under you.
So what happened next?
I reached a very low point. I ended up reaching out to the rabbi whose lessons I was learning. I said, but I can't believe that everything I believe, and I have nothing. There's no God. And he said, that's not true. He says, there is a God, and he's been with you the whole time. You just don't need that intercessor. You don't need that person between you and God. You have direct access, and he's watching you. He knows what you're going through, and he's been there your whole life. And then I decided I'm not giving up religion altogether, but I want to learn Torah, and I want to learn Judaism from the beginning. So I would go to Art Scroll, and I wanted to learn Judaism. So I took to learning online and a little bit with Chabad, and decided that I wanted to convert to Judaism.
And this is all taking place. This is all taking place online, meaning you haven't yet been to Israel. You haven't yet been in any type of seminary. This is mostly an online journey back.
I had been to Israel just before this process. It was when I was a missionary and trying to reach Orthodox Jews. I did take a trip to Israel with a bunch of secular Israeli friends. I did go to the Kotel, and I had my personal prayer that I gave to God, saying, I don't know what's what with this whole idolatry thing, but I want you to show, whatever it takes, show me the truth.
What was the moment where you just said, I'm joining, I'm converting? Like, was there a moment, or was it just a natural progression without any sort of defining moment where you made the change?
I decided that Judaism was it, and the traditions. I loved learning the traditions behind even the minhagim, the little things that people do. That I'd ask a question, and it would be a beautiful answer. And then every mitzvot that was described to me, I would ask, why do you do that? I was a like a little child. Why? And everything I got back was just beautiful and had so much meaning. I said, I want this in my everyday life. I want to learn all of the mitzvot, and I want to do all of those beautiful, meaningful things. The conversion process was quite intense. The Orthodox conversion process is not easy. It took 4 years. Almost a year after I completed my conversion, I ended up getting married to somebody in Texas who has a whole bunch of family here in Israel. So we had a wedding in Israel, and I always wanted to move to Israel, and turned out he'd always wanted to move to Israel also, and his whole family was here. So we set out to make that happen. it eventually happened. We got here to Israel. So when I landed in Israel, it was like something stood up inside me and like a whole new soul woke up and felt like it was home, which was crazy because I've never known any other home. But ever since then, Israel has been my only home.
Amazing. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your incredibly inspiring story. And we look forward to staying in touch and hearing more. And we just want to thank you. I am so inspired by it, and I'm sure everyone watching is inspired as well.
Thank you.
That was Shannon. The story is so much larger. If you can, we're going to post the full interview, especially her work with missionaries in Jerusalem, and it's an amazing web of intrigue, really. We thank Shannon for her work over here. We'll show you this incredible video from h.com. Check this out.
My Chinese name is Chai. Translated into English, it is wood. Into Yiddish, it's Woude. That's how I chose the name Woudeman. I'm the man of the wood. I was born in modern China. Modern China is now the classic or traditional China. The modern China is like a Western-style country. It wasn't really Chinese. So in the modern China, we were not educated with tradition. We are cut off from the root. I feel the emptiness, the spiritual emptiness. I was taught when I was young in elementary school, the universe has no beginning, no end. If you believe there's a beginning of everything, you're religious. You're like superstitious. You're stupid. In university, I was taught that the universe has a beginning called Big Bang. If you do not believe that the universe has a beginning, you're stupid. What's the truth? When I was young, communism was the truth. After the researcher realized that it cannot be. At the end of the university, I was approached by this English teacher who was a Christian missionary in disguise. He told me that a man who died on a cross, he was the truth. Who's telling the truth? In 1995, I started to research Christianity. I read maybe 10 versions of the Bible. English Bible or Chinese Bible are all translations. To know the truth, I have to read the original text. So in order to know, I learned Hebrew, or biblical Hebrew. After a while, like maybe 5 years, I can read the Bible in Hebrew. Who's telling the truth? Check the Bible. Hashem is one. And they say Hashem is three. This is three. This is one. They're not the same. There's no three there. You should keep Shabbos. The Christians don't keep Shabbos. 5 years later, 2000, I reached the conclusion that Christianity was wrong. Judaism has a whole piece. So I made the choice that I want to live this way of life. But in China, I couldn't. There was no synagogue when I decided. How can I keep kashrut? So I decided I have to go away. I felt that the land of Israel is my homeland. I found home. This was what I'm looking for. A sincere, honest, devoted life. I came to Israel, my parents, they were furious. And the media isn't friendly to the Jewish people. We occupied Arab lands. We slaughtered or massacred the Arab people. So from my parents' point of view, they thought that I joined an evil cult. And I went to an evil country. Now I think they reconciled somewhat. After I became Jewish, I found that Chinese culture has some similarity with Judaism. I wear a suit, I have a hat, and now I have a beard. But think about it. it isn't that big difference. Right? The suit, made in China. This is Chinese suit. I have black shoes made in China. Also, this one is a hat. We call it the Hardy hat. The hat is also from China. So everything I have is made in China. So what's the difference?
It's a very good point. It's a very good point. Great to hear that story and thank Oro for that video. Our next guest, Rabbi Avraham Goldstein from Scranton, Pennsylvania. He actually has a kahila, an entire congregation of converts of Gerim, and their congregation is called Torah's Chesed. It's an organization to help Gerim. Rabbi, welcome to the show.
Shalom Aleichem. How are you?
Aleichem Shalom. How are you? Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. You know, I'm a little bit between emotional and introspection because all the different videos that I see and the words and the events that happen in Miron. But it gives me great joy to see the different diversity of people from all over the world coming close to Hashem.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your story and your journey and what you have in Scranton, Pennsylvania that we don't know about.
Okay, so I became Jewish when I was 16 years old. I came from Puerto Rico. And my whole path to Yiddishkeit started when I was 14 years old. Across the street from my house, there was a bar where people used to get drunk and, you know, the wild life. And I used to pray that that place should close down because I used to come late to school because of them and because of the noise. And there was an earthquake in the middle of the night and I ran out of the house in fear. And I saw people running out of the bar also in fear. And they thought that it was the Yom HaMisa, they're going to die, you know. So when you think you're going to die, we all become religious. So all of a sudden they went on their knees and started praying, God forgive me, I promise I'll be good, I'm going to go home and I'm going to be a good person. And at that moment I said that bar is going to close down. But you know, after 30 seconds, they noticed that nothing happened. Everybody's okay. They went back into the bar and they kept doing what they were doing before. So for me, I think that the beginning was to ask the question of spiritual honesty. These people that were doing whatever they were doing something wrong because that's how they felt immediately. They have to repent. And yet, when they saw that I'm not going to die today, so okay, I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing before, even though it's wrong. So I felt like I want to live a spiritual, honest life.
Beautiful.
And for that reason, asking questions led me to my mother. And my mother told me I lived in Williamsburg in a Jewish neighborhood. And I saw how the Jewish people behave, how they live. And the truth that you're looking for, the type of life that you're looking for, you can only find it there.
Wow.
And that's how I ended up.
Wow.
I made a raffle, sold newspapers, made enough money to be able to buy a ticket and come to New York. And that's how I ended up in the path.
Wow. What a story. So tell us a little bit about your shul, about your congregation, and what you have in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Well, after many years of being a Get Tzedek and Baruch Hashem, you know, being successful with the family and everything. So there is the communication device of today, tell Jews, and one Jew tell the other, and whenever they see a person who wants to come and become a Yid, so they get, many cases, they give him my number, and I speak to them and I share my experience. And over the years, people became converts. So it was difficult to find a place where to be, because one of the difficulties of becoming a convert is they have no family and they have to start new in a new place. And so in Scranton, Pennsylvania was a place that was affordable, and the people in the community were very willing to welcome these families that had no Jewish background and in Jewish education. And so they opened up so nicely, and we said, well, this is the choice. And so we came here and we're part of the community, and we have about 17 families here. We're about 60 people together.
Wow.
And we use the entire system. We're part of the system. We contribute, they contribute to us, and we're part of the community in the full sense of the word.
Wow. You know, there's an article last month in the Washington Post about the emerging Jews of Colombia. Why so many Christians in the South American country are converting to Orthodox Judaism. do you have any perspective as to what's happening in South America and if there is some resurgence for the interest in Judaism from there?
Well, definitely. You know, the Lashon and Chazal and our sages, when they speak about converts, they use the word ger shenis gayer. They don't use the word goy shenis gayer. A Gentile that became a Jew, no. They used a convert that became a convert, so to speak. So why they use that kind of language? Because in reality, converts are souls that have been around for until finally they come out and they become Jewish. So they're not really, you know, it's like you see so many, and if you look into Jewish history, you see so many people that were forced conversions, then they went through all kinds of difficulties, and that soul's still there and is longing and he wants. And a lot of the converts, and I noticed, they are emerging now, and they have this soul, and in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of not having anything, all of a sudden they feel this desire to look for the truth and to come into Klal Yisrael. And I think that's what's happening. This soul, Mashiach is coming. We're getting close to the Geula, and all these souls are coming back to where they belong.
Wow. Wow. Rabbi, thank you so much for joining us. I would love to, maybe we'll do this again. We can find out more about your community. Maybe we could do a trip to Scranton and sort of see everybody. I would love it. And maybe we can make a Project Inspire event in your community. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you're doing for people, and continue shining your tremendous light on the world.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That was Rabbi Goldstein. Wow, 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 wow. Did you hear what he was saying? He's got a community in Scranton, Pennsylvania, of all these incredible, incredible individuals. But I want to end with what the rabbi said. And if you didn't catch it, I want to double click on it. The Torah speaks about converts, ger shenis gayer, a ger, that a convert that converts. Right? It shouldn't say that. It should say a Gentile that converts. And what he was saying, which is so powerful, is that the soul of a convert was always part of us. For whatever reason, how it worked out, there's different interpretations of what took place. And I'll share with you one that I found to be very powerful. We're talking about Shavuot. We're talking about the moment where God gave the Torah to the Jewish people. So there's an opinion that I once heard that during the time when God gave the Torah to the Jewish people, he asked every nation of the world, do you want it? And the nation said no. But the nation voted no. But in the nations were these souls that said, yeah, but they were outvoted. They didn't have enough votes to choose yes. So they stayed part of that nation, but their souls were really desirous of being part of the Torah. And I heard this beautiful concept of what really a convert is. A convert is a soul that always wanted to be part of it, that was always with us, that really their heart was with us during the time where the Jews got the Torah. And throughout history, their time came. And so really the converts that are amongst us were always with us. And that's why they're some of the greatest people in the world. And I hope when you're part of the show, you're seeing the pattern of greatness, the show on addiction, digging into a place and being more. We're doing a show now we did a show last week on resilience, Rabbi Akiva, who descended from converts. And now we're doing a show on converts, digging deep into more challenges before them, upheaval in their lives. But it doesn't matter, because their soul says this is where you belong. This is where they belong. They're part of us forever. That's what Shabbat's all about. It's to take a deep breath and realize we're honored to be part of this. We got a special nation. Doesn't mean to knock anyone else, but it does mean to enhance our pride in our own heritage and our own traditions. And maybe me and you didn't fully appreciate it, but the fact that so many Jews are clamoring to give up everything to come in, their souls are on fire from all over the world. Maybe the Shabbos, it'll inspire us to say, wait, maybe I should fight harder for my own heritage. Maybe I should understand what I do more. Maybe I could be more inspired. Maybe I can push harder and be a convert myself. I'm already in, but maybe I could be a Jew by choice, especially as I prepare myself for the getting of the Torah this year in Shavuot. And so I wish you a Shabbat of wisdom, a Shabbat of appreciation, a Shabbat where we appreciate what we have, and that even if we were born into it, we choose it all again. A Shabbat where we see other people and appreciate them and not know where they come from, but know that their souls are connected to our souls. And I hope that we never learn the lessons from the down, but to look at the people like Victor that we saw earlier, telling us to be closer, telling us to appreciate life. May we always see the silver lining in the down, but always appreciate the ups. Appreciate what we have, appreciate who we are, and be a stronger nation. Come together as we prepare ourselves to receive the Torah anew and to start the next chapter of our lives, to be renewed, if you will, in our commitment. So on behalf of me and mine to you and yours, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom. As we ascend together to the mountain, Mount Sinai, may we hold hands, no matter what your background is, and be stronger. And this weekend, we should have a weekend of introspection and study and learning and inspiration. I hope next week to see you in Jerusalem, but if not, hope to see you back here. A wonderful weekend, a good Shabbos, and Shabbat Shalom.
We together call it I do, with every generation they take one, raising the haters. Then Hashem hit the pavement, blazing the savers. Then the world asks where they went. Patience are faithless. The Torah gave the whole world a facelift. If hatred is baseless, we take it, erase it, and exchange it for that master goal. We don't forget wherever we may go. There is only one place we know, and it's called Zero. We won.
Pieces and you're just falling down, falling down. I pick you up, and if you feel like you're outnumbered on a battle.